When you think about Team Fortress 2's main weapon design philosophy for their unlocks, they ultimately try and create something commonly referred to as a side grade. They aim to make something that performs differently than the stock option, while providing an upgrade to a cost at the player, typically rewarding skill.
Boring.
What?
Everyone knows what a side grade is, white boy. Just get on to the weapon review already.
Not yet, bitch. Let me give you my thesis.
Okay, let me give you an example. The direct hit has a lot of that pretty blue text we call upsides. It has a surprisingly effective 25% damage bonus, as well as making the rocket travel 80% faster. And mini crits airborne targets launched by explosives, but honestly, that hardly comes into play. It's an insane weapon. It's truly one of the best in the game. However, one line of red text turns this into a side grade instead of a direct upgrade, a negative 70% explosion radius. This will completely revamp how you play Soldier. I mean, when you think of him, you think of that guy that shoots at your feet once or twice and kills you immediately, but the direct hit massively modifies how he plays, making him able to one-shot 4 out of the 9 classes at close range, which just makes the nickname the best melee weapon in the game make even more sense. Because if someone gets close to you while you have this equipped, it's game over for them, they're done. I love the direct hit, not just for its playstyle and utility, but as one of Valve's best designed weapons that perfectly follows TF2's core weapon design philosophy of rewarding more skillful players with good performance. But some of the weapons in Team Fortress 2 break this well-shaped structure, oftentimes by being a direct upgrade, whether in practice or just in stats alone. What I mean by this is items like the third degree, while not even being close to the best melee option for Pyro, it has no downsides, which just makes me wonder what strain Valve was smoking when they were implementing this. Or in the case of the syringe guns, which are so fundamentally flawed that they had to add a healing crossbow, which became the undefeated champion of all of Medic's primary options. It seems as though with how many weapons in Team Fortress 2 there are, they can't all be perfectly balanced. And while I can argue that some are side grades or a direct upgrade, I feel that one weapon teeters this line to a confusing degree. I can't quite reach a conclusion on it, because the Tomislav baffles me. The Tomislav, nicknamed by the Heavy Svetlana, was added as a part of the Uber update, revealed on day 1 as a part of the mobster-themed loadout for Heavy, matching with the Spy. And all I can say is one definitely got the short end of the stick and is sleeping with the fishes. The Tomislav on paper is one of the more simple weapons in TF2, so I'll just jump right into its stats. It has a 20% faster spin-up time, it's 20% more accurate, and when you spin up, it doesn't make any noise, with the downside of firing 20% slower. But in classic TF2 text fashion, it lied, and it's closer to about a 15% slower firing speed, just because the stock minigun itself is glitched. And I mean, if I had to describe this to a New Vegas fan, it is quite literally the perk trigger discipline. Word for word, bar for bar. Analyzing these stats a little further, a typical Heavy 1v1 with 2 players at the same skill level with no other factors typically comes down to whoever revs their gun first. So if you were running the Tomislav, you would win that fight, right? Well, that's where we have to consider literally everything else. It's true that if the stock minigun hits all of its shots, it kills faster than the Tomislav at any distance. However, we have to consider that the stock minigun rarely hits all of its shots, if ever, especially at medium to long ranges. This gun's bullet spread is so wide that it's more of an intimidation tactic than its typical killing machine persona at longer distances. And that's where the Tomislav has it beat. By rewarding the user with a tighter spread, just by hitting more of your shots with better tracking, and you will quickly outdamage a Heavy with the stock minigun at any range. I genuinely recommend it to the beginner Heavy player just because it forces you to get better. And can I mention how clutch the 20% plus rev speed is? For just the sole fact of making the Heavy so mobile. I mean, you can round every corner with a crouch jump and popping this thing with next to no repercussions. Seriously, even though 20% is such a small number, it makes such a massive difference in the playstyle of the weapon. You become such a mobile Heavy, it's incredible.
You know what? I've made up my mind. I think the Tomislav is better than stock.
What the fuck are you talking about? Tomislav is just the worst side grade of stock.
Okay, in what scenario? The stock is so inaccurate at longer ranges, you might as well be peeing with a boner.
Who the fuck is this?
Can you kill this guy, please?
Fucking kill him, thank you.
Take him out back and old yeller him, Jesus Christ.
There we go.
Okay, Jesus, God.
As I was saying, That barely matters unless you're shooting at someone from across the map. Besides, the stock fire is so much faster you'll probably just kill them first despite the accuracy difference.
Look, you can't just look at things on paper and say it's better because of a few numbers on a fucking file. I bet that I could tell you how to play Tomislav heavy and change your mind.
Sure, go ahead. Try and change my mind, dick.
What should your playstyle with the Tomislav look like? Honestly, play it the same way as the minigun. Just remember to track better and use general heavy positioning tips. But I have a few ideas that, due to the Tomislav stats, it would benefit from besides stock. You need to use short corridors, doorways, and corners to your advantage. What I mean by this is you should start spinning the Tomislav before you peek, as it is completely silent, gently rounding the corner and mowing down enemies before they even realize you're there. On the topic of noise, flanking is one of the best things you can do as a Tomislav heavy. Pairing this with the grooves so that way you can reach locations faster than any heavy realistically ever should, and you can completely catch them by surprise. As we all know, it's easier to take down the enemy players when they don't know you're there. As well, the tighter spread helps you land more shots at medium distances, making heavy one of the few classes that is effective at that range. As well, strafing to make yourself harder to hit by snipers and other classes, and you're just golden. Just remember the acronym CFM and you'll be good to go.
But that doesn't even make sense as an acronym. Acronyms are supposed...
Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not biased in making this weapon review. The Tomislav is without a doubt my favorite weapon for heavy and some of the most fun I've had playing the class. However, everything I said in this video, I stand by. I believe it effectively follows TF2's unlock philosophy. Its stats don't make it better than stock, just better in certain scenarios and rewarding better play, and opens up a more movement, accuracy focused, stealthy heavy that I don't think I'll ever get bored playing as.
You know, I think the difference between these two is so minimal, you shouldn't even really care what your teammates are running.
Great point. Arguing about what's meta and what's not is for the nerds over competitive shooters, not TF2. Every minigun has its uses, except the Hulong heater.
Yeah, the Hulong heater.
I hope that was not the worst thing you've seen on YouTube, but let me know your thoughts on the Tomislav in the comments, or if you have just some good memories with it. If you want to support my channel, I accept donations and TF2 items, and my trade link is in the description. If you do, you'll be credited in the next video I make, but trust me, this is not necessary and I am financially stable. But if you want to support me, go ahead and subscribe. You know, I make videos like this all the time, and if you want to see more of it, not a bad idea, right? I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I'd really appreciate it. Again, thank you for watching my video, and I hope to see you again.